What's up, people? Welcome. This is Chef Ed Harris. This is phase 3 in the launching your spice line, your spice blend, your seasonings. All right. And this group, these 10 days, we're going to touch on manufacturing and we're going to touch on private labeling. All right. So stay tuned. This is going to be for anyone that has thought about launching a brand, launching a seasoning line, and don't really know about private labeling because there's a lot that goes into that, right? And manufacturing. So for the next 10 days, we're gonna jump deep into this and we're gonna share all the nooks and crannies. All right, stay tuned. All right, so for day 21, we're talking about how do private label companies actually work. All right, there's a system, there's a flow, there's a lot of things that are involved, but when you find the right one, it's a beautiful thing. Private label companies don't actually create your brand. They create a product that you can then brand, all right? There's a big difference. Most people think private label companies help you build a brand. They don't. All right, so let's break down what exactly private labeling is, all right? So when you choose to go with the private label route, you are working with a company. They already create the blends. They create it at scale. They basically do everything, and you are borrowing that mix from them. And you are now using that mix to sell as your own, right? That's the first thing. Number two is you basically put your brand on it. So they provide you with the mixes, the blends, you put your label on it, you brand it, you sell it. They provide it. That's it. There's no tweaking per se. There's no, here's my recipe. There's none of that. You basically go to them. They give you the product. You pick your label design, but they're the ones responsible for flavor. They're the ones responsible for color, taste, all of that. Like, you don't get any say in any part of that equation. With private labeling, they require minimums, right? MOQs, right? And that can range from 50 to 500 pieces per SKU, right? So you wanna really pay attention to who you decide to go with. And this is one of the questions you wanna ask from jump before you sign any contracts, before you say, okay, I wanna go into business with you. You need to make sure that you're asking what the minimums are, because the minimums can either make or break your pocket depending on your resources that you have available. And with private labeling, it's cost per unit, right? Because prices are already baked into their formulas, into their particular blend. So there's no negotiating with them. Like, this is what it costs them to do. This is what they're selling it to you, the person that is going to then rebrand it and repackage it in your own style, your own logo, your own label, your own packaging, all of that stuff. So there's not a lot of room for negotiating when it comes to pricing. With private labeling, there is very limited to zero customization. Some might let you tweak slight things, but 8 out of 10 times, 9 out of 10 times, there is no tweaking, there is no adjusting. You get it as is, and that's basically how you are allowed to sell it, right? You can't change it. So it's something to think about when you decide which route you want to go. One of the major reasons people will choose a private label company is because it's fast to market, right? In terms of, you can launch very quickly because you're not recipe testing, you're not coming up with recipes, you're not coming up with the flavors. Like, it's already done. So it's quick for you to come up with a line of products and put a label on it, put together your packaging, and then sell it very easily, right? Because a lot of the work, a lot of the heavy lifting is already taken care of. So it's not something that you have to worry about. So the real trade-off working with a private label is that you get speed and simplicity. There's not a lot of thinking involved. There's not a lot of moving parts. It's very straightforward. What you see is what you get. There's no guesswork. There's no trying to figure out a lot of things. A lot of that is done for you. All right. So these are just some of the things you need to think about when you're working or when you're thinking about launching your own brand, right? Do you want to go with a private label company? Do you want to make it yourself? Do you want to go with a co-packer? There are levels to this depending on where you are in your journey, right? Some people like the idea of a private label. Some people want to do themselves. And then you have people like me that only do co-packers because I don't have time to sit there and mix anything myself. I don't want to have that kind of time, right? I'd rather spend my time being creative, right? So co-packing for me is where you get to just create the recipes, you send it off, they make it, you test it until it's the way you like it, they keep doing it, and then once it's ready, you have a product that is fully customized, it's fully your own, it's 100% unique to you, and that's where you get to really be creative and have fun. Until next time.